All right. Welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, in the studio for our special 2023 prediction show, joined as always by Randy Angston. What's up, buddy?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Gluten
It is
morning.
morning still. Yes, all day.
All day?
It's morning till noon.
It's
Morning
usually how
till
it works.
noon. Great show for everybody today. We're going to talk about predictions that we're kind of expecting to see kind of come true over the 2023 year. Welcome to the new year. This is an exciting time for a lot of gyms, a lot of things going on. We do want to mention our Iron Circle before we get too deep in this. IronCircle.net. Go check that out. It's our highest level mastermind. This is our movers and shakers, our outside the box thinkers, the gym owners that are doing big things.
Mm-hmm.
There is a requirement to get into this group of, I guess, 30 plus gym owners at this point. We will. We'll be meeting coming up, I guess, in February in Orlando for our Iron Circle experience. We've got a great speaker coming out, Mike Michalowicz from Profit First, as well as 6 other books he's done.
Yeah.
This is an event where we get together in a mansion. We bring a chef in. We're actually going to go to Epcot Center and do some cool stuff. So, if you have interest in joining a circle of like-minded, driven individuals doing big things, and you want to be around that group for 2023, go to IronCircle.net.
Yes. Requirement though, as Tim was saying, you got to be doing at least 30,000 in revenue per month in order to qualify.
That is correct. Yep, that is correct. And speaking of $30,000 a month, we're going to talk about what our predictions are for this upcoming year. A lot of change over the last, 3 years since the pandemic happened. The COVID shutdowns, a lot going on there. A lot of people closed their doors. There was, I think the last numbers I heard was 30% of brick-and-mortar gyms, CrossFits, boot camps closed over that period of a 2-year period there. Unfortunate. But the people are still here. That's actually good news, right? Less competition in the market. The same amount of people start filtering out to the other locations. And, there you go. You've seen some massive growth. Some of the gyms that we're working with, best year ever.
Most of the gyms.
Most of the gyms. 2022 was a record year for probably 80% of our Iron Circle members. Another half, a good portion of our coaching clients are having the best years ever. Definitely best months ever.
Oh, yeah.
So if they in the past were doing 40, 50, 60,000 this year, in the past years, this year they're doing 70, 80, $90,000 a month, which is amazing, right? It may not be their best year ever, but we definitely across the board, I would say 100% of our Iron Circle members either had the best year or the best months ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously as that, plays out, we'll continue to see the best 365 days, cycles for some of these gyms. It's all about growth. That's the name of the game, right? They're making a decision to force it and not, let some of the things that have happened really affect them in that negative manner that we saw so many other gyms get affected by.
Perfect. Yep. So let's get into our predictions. These are ones that we've been kind of looking into for the last couple of weeks. We got together before the show and we just kind of wrote down 5 or 6 predictions that I think we'll see happen. We'll get right into it. Number one, if you go back 365 days, you'll listen to our 2022 prediction show. That one of the biggest predictions that we came out of the gate was we're going to see a surge of transformation, all-inclusive, programs being brought in, high-ticket programs being brought into gyms. I've never seen so many companies, third-party companies selling this to gym owners today. There's these high-ticket programs. There's these transformation programs. We know of at least 5 off the top of our heads, which all great folks. Nothing wrong to say there. I'm just saying that there's a surge, right?
Yeah. There's a need apparently.
There's definitely exactly. When you see a surge like that, there's definitely a need. So. What do I mean by transformation programs? I'm saying the all-inclusive program where you have fitness is your standard gym program. But over here, when you bolt on a transformation, we're talking mindset, nutrition, all this accountability on top of it. You could even get into blood work and habit change and sleep patterns and all the goodies, right? And hormone, analyzations and food allergies. There's all these things you can bolt into these programs. And we saw a surge of it in 22. I believe this is going to continue into 23.
Yeah, I think I personally think it'll even double down. I mean, I think it's going to be a bigger piece of that, differentiator in the marketplace. Obviously, we're going to get into kind of where certain gyms lie and things like that. But I think this is going to be one of those options that, I don't know if it'll be a saving grace, but it'll definitely be an option for a lot of gyms. And if they take it, they could see really big wins.
Correct. So the big wins being financial wins being part of that, but also client, the lifespan of a clientele, right? So lifespan of a clientele, we obviously, the whole name of the game is we want to keep clients as long as possible. And by having all the solutions for somebody under one roof, you're going to see that, right?
And I mean, even things, like chiropractic care, fascial stretch or like the recovery side of things. I mean, stuff that basically we've seen kind of play in and out in gyms and stuff like that for a while.
Right.
I think that more of that's going to be coming in-house. And I think that gyms are going to control more of those because at the end of the day, it just comes to longevity of that client, right? How long are we able to keep that client in our doors versus watching them go pay somebody else for those services? And it's almost like vertical expansion, right? Like what is that next option that we can bring in and control, because that's ultimately what those clients are going to need, and we know it leads to retention.
And the nice thing is you can charge big money for this. And when I say big money, I'm saying for a 10 to 16 week program, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, even up to $10,000. You only need 5 or 6 of those clients a month, and that changes the game for a lot of gyms, right? So,
and I think, with that being said, though, I think that gyms have to do that well. It's not one of those things because there's a lot of option, right? Like you can't just throw more money at the problem without really truly leveling up that level of service, providing that superior level of attention and care. That could be a slippery slope if you try to do something like this, but just don't perform it well. I think it could actually, hurt you really well as well, or, negatively as well.
Big time. Okay, next prediction. I think, and I talked to several Iron Circle members. I asked them like, where's your head at for 23? And I agree to this one. This one was the middle class gym, the $150 a month plus or minus gym is going to get hurt badly in 23. And the main reason for that is the cost of doing business has increased dramatically. And if you're still living in that $150 for large group training, you're just not going to get the volume of clientele that you need to overcome those big increased expenses in business.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of follows the economy in a way, right? Like the middle class, as that middle class kind of gets a little bit less and less, right? We're seeing the haves and the have-nots kind of, rise. Unfortunately, I think the same thing's going to happen with those middle of the tier offerings, right? You either have to provide that superior service to those that can continue to afford it, or those clients in the middle of that can afford that 150 to 2, they're going to drop, into that lower deliverable because it's to them, it's that, expendable cash flow, and that is where their concern is.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of see them go left or right, but the decision is going to be up to the gym owner. How do you want to move into, what is the change you're going to make? Are you going to move up and become that premium service, that premium tier, or are you going to watch clients slip out your door because you're not willing to compete?
Well, they're going to slip, like you mentioned, they're going to slip because they can't afford the 150 and go to 99 or even the $10 gyms.
Yep,
they're just going to drop out and just do that. Or the clients that have the money, they want to spend more and get that higher value. That's that $299 to $599 a month kind of gym. That's exactly right. You have to make a decision, and the decision starts with your service offering.
Exactly.
So we did a review of the state of the industry report that came out, and it was really not exciting.
No.
Numbers wise. $15,900 a month on average was the general gym's revenue. We're seeing that being the large group training model.
Yeah.
There's another way. We put our flag in the ground years ago. If we want to really count, it was probably 12 years ago when we started doing semi-private training, one coach to 6 clients. Higher price point. We help gyms switch to this model. I have a feeling, and this will be another prediction, not even written here, that we're going to see a mass influx of gyms changing their models to semi-private.
And at some point, it makes a lot of sense, right? It's a better way of delivering it from the business standpoint. When we see the results of our clients, we can give that individualized attention in a shared cost environment. They love it. But it's also another way of, hell, if you have that one-on-one gym and those clients can't afford those services, this is a great way of you can even move into a semi-private, deliver for more people, and it doesn't nickel and dime each of them a little, as much. So it could be that might be a desperation play for some of those one-on-one, not desperation play, but you know what I mean, the saving grace for a one-on-one facility to be able to make that transition and keep clients that couldn't afford one-on-one training at the rate that they were.
Exactly. In fact, I did have this written down. The large group model is going to see a decline, and the semi-private model is going to see an increase. I truly believe this. It makes sense on every single level, right? Definitely financially, but the cost of running this operation is as the same or even less than a other model, right? It's like you don't need a big footprint. You don't need a whole bunch of equipment either. You can do this in a leverage your coaches, right? 1 to 6 and charge a high premium. And to me, I would rather have way less clients paying a lot more than a ton of clients paying a lot less.
And I think the burden's going to fall on the gym owners, right? The decision on which way you want to go has to happen like now, right? It's not going to happen when you start to see those numbers slip, or when people, if things societally keep trending the way that they've been, and the costs of everything keeps continuing, and the value of the dollar keeps plummeting. That's the path and the trajectory we're on. And if you're not trying to be ahead of that by making those decisions on how to navigate rough waters, you're going to be hit with it. And that could be, think about this one, heavily. What do you want to be providing at the end of the year? Can you continue on the path that you're on and, remain and succeed? Or are things like this going to be, the need? Is this where the work comes in? 2023 is a transitional year for you.
Yeah, let's really talk about inflation for a second, because you mentioned it. The cost of the value of the dollar is going down, and everybody buys into doom and gloom. In fact, if you listen to the news, 99% is doom and gloom. That's because that's what gets attention, right? And so you could look at the doom and gloom and say, oh my gosh, nobody's gonna be able to afford my services. I need to lower my rates, and maybe we just go to this economic model. Let me tell you something real quick. In any economy, whether it's a high inflationary economy or a booming economy, there's always a group of people that have money.
Absolutely.
They typically get wealthier during downturns and upturns. The wealthy, the rich get richer, right? You hear this all the time. Well, why wouldn't you want to just serve that segment of the population that really don't get hurt by the economic downturns. They just don't. They've got their money in good places. They know they're smart with it. Those folks, you don't need many of them. You need a few hundred of them to make $1 million, right? $1 million, 88, we talked about the $1 million model with 200 members. It's up to you. Do you want to buy into the doom and gloom, or do you want to say, hey, you know what? Even in a down economy, there's going to be a group of people that are looking for or need served, right? And let me serve those people.
Yeah, the fact of, if we do continue, or things, do just trend in that downturn, the gym, it doesn't mean that your business is going to follow that. The opportunity in chaos is massive, but it's the decisions ahead of it. It's the decisions what you do with that and how you make that change in your business is what's going to be the differentiator on whether or not you succeed or you are affected by that. But you have to, it's a decision. If you spend 2023 doing exactly what you're doing right now, you will lose. I don't care where you are, but you have to be consciously looking at what's coming and to make the decisions of the business that are going to best serve you and your clientele. But I completely agree. There is a faction of this society or that they're there, they're able, they will continue to walk through the door. But the race to the bottom on the other end, I mean, I think of it like price gouging, not price gouging, but like, the competition of the gas stations, price wars. Yeah. Right. Like it's a race to the bottom. And if you want to play that game, you're going to put yourself out of business, and the business is, your competition in the area along with you. The other end of the spectrum is you raise that level of deliverable and create a more higher premium service. I think that's where you're going to see your greatest wins. But it's not going to happen just by, changing what you call your services and stuff like that. Like the experience is going to be a big part of that.
Well, let's talk about experience, because that's another prediction. Number 4 prediction here. Maybe it's 5. I've jumped out of order, but again, talking to the Iron Circle, I was like, listen, where do you guys see the biggest, boldest predictions? Again, our last year's show, we talked about customer experience being the differentiator. We also talked about a couple episodes being the X factor in your business. This was straight out of both of those episodes, but basically with the increased amount of remote work, with people not working in offices, not having that human interaction, there's going to be some desire for those folks. I mean, there's some hermits out there and there's introverts out there, but and it's funny, we'll go off topic for a second. When these lockdowns happened, there was people that were in heaven there was people that were miserable. And that was really quickly, like I have a buddy, Jack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jack.
Oh, yeah.
Introvert as all can be.
Yep.
He doesn't leave the house. When the lockdowns happened, he was so happy. He's like, I ain't going nowhere. Plus, he's got a giant house. And of course, I wouldn't mind staying there myself. But other folks, us included, like, gosh, we're going stir crazy. Yeah, stir crazy, exactly. going, get, bang our head against the wall. We want to get out. That's why we're trying to get back to the gym as quick as possible. That being said, with the remote work, there's a fraction of the or a section of the population that is going crazy right now, and they want to be out. They want to talk to people, and so there's going to be that that need for human connection back in the gyms. If you haven't seen it now, you're going to continue. You're going to see it soon. People want to be around other people. Yeah. They're not afraid of getting sick. They're not afraid of all the doom and gloom. They want to interact with other people. And that being said, the gyms that have that increased level of customer experience, that culture, those are going to be the ones that are going to stand apart from the rest of the gyms out there. They're going to get the attention, and they're going to see dominance, I guess, in 2023. Right?
Yeah. And I agree. I think that, it's like the people are looking for that community, right? That culture, that third place, as we've called it in the past, right? They had the work, they have the home. Well, now both of those are sometimes the same thing. They're looking for that group of people that they feel at home with, right? That they fit in with, that they want to be part of. I think that I think part of that's going to be like, it's going to be a bigger differentiator. And I think one of the things that we'll continue to see, and I'm seeing this in other industries and other businesses, but continually, we're seeing a rise in like businesses tying a cause to their business model. Either a charitable contribution or like the mission that, they're on. Yeah. We see it with employees. People want to be part of something bigger, not just earn a paycheck. And I think that we're actually going to see that with our clientele to a degree as well, if we have those things layered in. And it could just be part of the culture, your ethos type of thing. It doesn't have to be something where you're giving money to charity necessarily, but if your business stands for something, if your mission is to change lives and save people, and increase their longevity and that type of thing, if that's really visible in your language, your marketing, your messaging, your brand promise, and your core values and stuff like that, like that's going to mean more to people, and they'll be willing to put themselves out of the way. Like maybe they'll pay a little bit more money each month, knowing that we're doing this for the greater good type of thing.
You think so? You think people, even the adult, like the older demo?
Yeah. I mean, because it doesn't have to be a charitable aspect, but people want to be part of that. Like that's the reason that they're looking for a community or that culture within the facility. It's not just, hell, I don't know who would do the study, but is there a direct correlation between the culture and the result that you get in a gym? I don't know. But the reason that you want to be there is because of that culture, that community, that aspect. That's hell, call it a retention play, right? People are coming more often because they enjoy being there. They'll stay longer because they enjoy being there. but the culture and the community and all of that is part of that. You know what I mean? And that's the stuff that's like the intangible sometimes. It's the stuff that you're not just delivering a result on a scale or a body fat composition changes there. People will continue to be part of it because it is that lifestyle client. You know what I mean?
But it's also the way you differentiate yourself because they can't. Other gyms can't compete with your culture.
Exactly.
Right? They can compete with the model. You can compete with the price. You can compete with the 24-hour, the square footage, the colors, and the coaching staff. You can compete with the modality, the actual workouts, the equipment. That's all. Anybody can copy that, but they can't copy the experience that you give them, that extra smile, the emails that you give them, or the check-ins that you give them, or text messages, or the card in the mail, things like that. Like they don't know what you're doing there because everything else is out in the open. This experience is kind of it's hidden, right? It's behind the scenes. So double down on that. So like going back just really quickly. Doubling down on your high ticket style transformation, all-inclusive programs, moving from that middle tier to a higher price point, moving from large group to semi-private, changing the experience, making sure that it's top notch. Those are all predictions going into next year. Last prediction that I have on my sheet is that we're going to see a surge of this tiny micro footprint style model. It's being proven over and over. It's been proven in the past with a bunch of different, I guess, brands out there. There's one of our friends is doing a brand it's exploding right now.
Yeah.
And what I mean by micro tiny footprints, I'm saying like a 1,500 to 2,500 square foot sliver of a unit in a retail center doing one-on-one or doing semi-private training. You don't need that many clients. You don't need that much staff. The overhead's nice and manageable. You can have multiple units and have a nice little business going on. I think we're going to see a surge in it. It makes sense that the big behemoth of a giant overheads is kind of like yesteryear. Like that's just kind of, we're kind of over it.
Yeah. And as you're talking through that, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Like it's going to make the business owners better business owners, right? Like this is a business based on the math. This is a business that we know, like the projections. We know that it has the ability to make money. It's not just I've got a big, beautiful, ego-filled, facility.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, but at the end of the day, you're negative. You're giving it all back every month, right? So, I think 2023 will continue to prove how important profit is, not just revenue.
Yeah, yeah, and smaller overheads are going to drive that, right? Yeah. So if you maybe it's time to look at a smaller facility. Here's one thing I would mention though. Location of your facility has everything to do with your success. It's not the only thing that drives success, but like I would much rather get a smaller place, higher cost per square foot that's seen in a nice shopping center that's tons of traffic in, versus a bigger place, smaller cost per square foot in the back of a warehouse, an industrial park. I can't stress that enough.
We talked about it in a past episode. I don't remember which one it was on, but I mean, basically you're going to be spending that money one way or another, right? Because at the end of the day, left or right, if you're behind, if you're tucked away, then you have to spend that money in marketing. You have to bring clients to the business because you're not getting walk-in traffic. You're not getting the visibility from being at a roadside, that type of thing. So the money is leaving your pocket one way or another. Otherwise, you just spend a little bit more money and have that visibility, but it's happening without you having to go, fight to seek those clients out of the marketplace. They're a little bit more, kind of coming to you in a way, right? Because they see you, you're visible. It's just that natural thing. So left or right, the money is going to come out of the pocket. Which category do you want to be in when it comes to the work that's included with it, right? Do you want to rely on social media and paid ads to bring somebody through your door that you don't own, can't control? Yeah. Or do you want to put yourself right in the mix and have the benefits of the visibility that will make up some of that, that gap?
Yeah. To me, it makes more sense to be out in the open, be invisible. We did that with our first location. We were in that high price point shopping center. We're not far from there anymore. We still have plenty of traffic right on the road. People see our signs. We get people, I've seen that place, right? Yeah. If we were in the other side of the shopping center or in this
tucked in the back,
we would never know who we are.
Well, in here, there's proof in the pudding. What's the greatest marketing play we've ever done for the gym?
Yeah, banners.
A banner.
Yeah, banners.
Right? Like and here, guys, it's not, maybe it didn't bring in as many clients in total as we ever have through paid ads or anything like that, but the revenue generated for the cost, that's what it comes down
return on
to.
investment.
The return is exponential versus what we can do with paid marketing. And I mean, when you've got a line of clients walking through your door because they saw a banner.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good feeling.
I mean, that's heaven for, most facilities. So that's what goes back to Tim's point. You have that visibility and that option. Or, maybe that's another thing, utilize what you have. If you do have that visibility, try something like a banner again, or put up those old A-frames, or, some of the things that kind of a lot of gyms have fallen back on because we think that, paid social media marketing is just so easy or just predictable. Test some of those other strategies. I mean, allow people to walk through your doors and buy your services instead of, I was just joking with you and Zach because you guys were at the front door. I was like, you guys can't just stand here and wait for people to walk in the door.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, you can, if you got something in front of them, asking them to do so. We've seen it.
Yep. And we got the banner out now. Hopefully, going into January, we'll start seeing a return on that. So listen, guys, 2023, there's going to be a lot of changes. You're going to see the cost of the dollar, value of the dollar drop dramatically, all this overspending. People are going to be pinching pennies. But that being said, there's angles here. There's opportunities in this market for high ticket stuff, higher service, higher price points, smaller footprint, better delivery. But if you're stuck in that no man's land of that kind of large group, $150-ish, $170-ish a month, like I feel like you're going to get squeezed. So you got to make a decision which way you're going to go, because your clients are going to have to make a decision too eventually with their pocketbooks, right, or their wallets. Yeah. So hopefully this gets the wheels turning to, of course, these are predictions. These are just kind of what we're thinking is going to happen. Nice thing about going back and seeing our predictions from last year, we nailed a few of them, nailed them. So I wouldn't be surprised if we nail a few again. It just, we can kind of see the trends already happening on some levels. So
we're in constant communication with our, with other gym owners, with, like the industry, at its core. So I think that's the reason a lot of these things do end up coming true, is because we do see it, before it takes place, right? We're talking about the changes. People are expressing these things. So these aren't just things that Tim and I flipped a quarter on and we're like, hey, let's just hope that these things happen or something, right?
Yeah.
We, are obviously close to the problem in a way. And that's the reason that we want to share these things with you guys, is to keep you ahead of it, right? You can now be proactive with some of this information as opposed to getting sidelined and slapped in the face when some of this stuff happens, or everybody else makes that jump and you're the last to do it.
Yeah, don't be that person. So hopefully this helps. That's it for this episode. Until next time, keep changing lives. We'll see you on the next show. Bye. All right. And thank you for listening to that episode of the Built to Grow podcast, where we help gym owners win. Now, do you want to connect with me and other gym owners online? All you need to do is join our private Facebook group, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. Just head on over to Facebook and type in Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. And when you do, we're going to give you our 10 marketing strategies 7-figure gym owners use to win. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, keep building something great.